This is the new Mercedes-Benz GLC. Now, it's not a facelift or a yearly update, but an entirely new car that has moved up the SUV ladder now that Mercedes-Benz also has the GLB alongside the entry-level GLA. This time around, the GLC is bigger on the outside, it is more premium on the inside, and it's got engines that are more powerful and fuel efficient than before. So, it's grown up for sure, and I think this car is going to be all the car that most people would ever need. In this video, I'm going to show you everything that's new in the new GLC, and I'm going to do it within the next 10 minutes. But before that, if you haven't done so already, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon so that you stay notified every single time we drive a new car. Now let's get back to the GLC and see how it looks. The way the GLC looks hasn't changed a great deal, despite it being a completely new car. There are quite a few hints of the old model in its silhouette, but when it comes to the details, everything is new. We will get to those in a bit. Right now, as I'm looking at it, it is pretty clear that this is a progressive change, and a positive change at that. Now, it's not a night and day difference, and I think that's good because the GLC has always been a good looking SUV, and with this new model, they have played around with the current Mercedes family look. So, there is a chance that you may see a bit of the GLE or even the C-Class in the new GLC. Let us know in the comments what you make of the new GLC's design. Do you think it's a good progression, or the new GLC could do with a stronger sense of individuality? In terms of dimensions, the GLC is longer than before, and it's got a slightly longer wheelbase as well. What has really improved though is the overall boot capacity with the rear seats up. At 620 litres, its capacity is much larger than the old GLC. The boot in fact is massive, and there is easily enough room for a big holiday worth of luggage. Also, you may have noticed that there is no boot lip here, which means you can easily slide your luggage. You could tell that the old GLC belonged to the previous generation of Mercedes-Benz lineup once you were in it. It was nice and classy, but nowhere as flashy as cars like the GLB and the GLA, which are of course less expensive. Now that this entirely new GLC is here, what do you think its interior is like? Well, check this out. There is nothing traditional or understated about this interior anymore. You get a large main display headlining the features list, which includes electrically adjustable leather seats, a 15-speaker Burmester sound system, wireless charging, a panoramic sunroof, ambient lighting, rear window blinds, a highly configurable driver's display, and the latest version of the MBUX multimedia system. For safety, there are 7 airbags, blind spot assist, active lane keep assist, active brake assist, and a 360-degree surround view camera setup. Other interior highlights include these newly designed seats which are super comfortable, this new 3-spoke steering wheel which you will also find on the new E-Class, and these C-Class style aircon vents. Now in terms of overall look of this cabin, I think it all adds up, and this is exactly how the new GLC's cabin should look given how expensive this car is going to be. Now I will get to the pricing a little later on. Right now I want you to concentrate on this main display, which is absolutely massive, and I admit it's also very eye-catching. However, that's not the only thing that it catches. Now it's a giant touchscreen, and by nature it picks up fingerprints and tiny marks quite easily, so you will have to constantly use a microfiber cloth or something to wipe it clean, which I suspect may get annoying after a while. Nonetheless, the overall build quality is pretty solid, and there is nothing to complain about here. You will have to concentrate really hard to spot any plastics or materials which are below par. As for the second row, I have got a reasonable amount of room in here. Now of course, this is nowhere as substantial as the bigger GLE, which is sold as a long wheelbase car here in India, but compared to something like the GLB, which I think will be priced very close to this car, the overall sense of space that you get in the GLC is much better, and so is the actual seat comfort. The greater sense of space is mainly because of two things. Firstly, the lighter colors on the GLC are doing it a big favor, and of course I have got this massive panoramic sunroof over my head, which lets in a lot of light and makes this cabin feel more spacious than it actually is. The GLC then leaves a much better impression than it ever has when it comes to interior look and comfort. Now the only thing left to judge is how well it actually drives, so let's get back to the driver's seat and see what's what. Okay, so we are on the road and driving the GLC. Now you can have this car with either a turbo diesel or a 2-liter turbo petrol engine, which is what this car has. And right off the bat, I can tell you that this will be a properly relaxing car to live with on a daily basis. I mean, it may be just a 2-liter engine, but it's high on refinement and there is a lot of power in reserve. Speaking of which, the way it delivers its power throughout the bottom end of the rev range, it feels like a much bigger engine than it actually is. Although I suspect that's mainly because of the mild hybrid setup that the new GLC comes with. So that adds another 23 brake horsepower and 200 Nm of torque for times when this 2-liter engine isn't producing its peak power. So it basically gives the petrol engine a certain amount of boost to keep the power flow constant and smooth. Now let's talk drive modes, and we have quite a few of those here. In fact, there's comfort, eco, sport and individual. Right now I'm driving the car in eco mode, and as you would expect, it does everything. So your throttle response, the AC and all, it is dialed down a bit. And I think it's not exactly effortless, and you would want to keep this car in comfort mode, because the new GLC, if I'm honest, it feels the happiest when it's driven in comfort mode. I mean, the engine is plenty responsive, there is almost enough power in reserve, and in true Mercedes fashion, this car feels truly at home when comfort mode is engaged. Switch to sport, and Mercedes says the GLC can accelerate from 0 to 100 km per hour in just 6.2 seconds. And here we have put it up against our stopwatch to see how fast it really is. Besides all of this, the India spec GLC also comes with an off-road package that adds hill descent control, additional ground clearance of 20mm, and a really cool transparent bonnet view for times when you need to navigate across a narrow trail or something. However, this fancy camera-based feature works only if you drive below 8 km per hour. As for the ride quality and the overall driving experience, the GLC does a good job of cocooning you from the outside world. I mean, there is hardly any road noise, and the ride quality itself is plush for the most part. It's fine over smooth tarmac, but you can feel the firmness when you're going over rutted roads or driving through a deep pothole. Also, it doesn't feel very cumbersome to drive in traffic or to park. I mean, you have a 360-degree camera setup and parking sensors all around, so it's pretty straightforward. So that's the new Mercedes-Benz GLC for you. It may remind you of the old GLC when you look at it, but step inside the cabin and it's a brave new world. Everything from its design, the technology and its comfort-based features are now up to date. And I'm glad that this car can now compete with the likes of the BMW X3 and the Audi Q5 when it comes to that all-important feel-good factor. I also think this car strikes a good balance between the X3 and the Q5. After all, the X3 is more of a sporty drive, whereas the Q5 is all about unassuming luxury. Ultimately, the petrol-powered GLC offers a good balance of performance and luxury, but then there is the matter of price, because now you have the GLB, which is sold at a price that the old GLC used to command. Naturally, this much improved 2023 GLC is going to cost quite a bit more than its predecessor, especially now that it has moved up the SUV ladder within the Mercedes-Benz range. Now, if you want to buy a 7-seater SUV from Mercedes-Benz, which is priced below the GLC, then you can check out our review of the GLB by clicking somewhere over here. Also, if you want to know what we think of the GLC's direct rival, the Audi Q5, then you can check out that video by clicking below.